Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching day 9 of my mystery whiskey advent calendar. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to day 9 of my mystery whiskey advent calendar for 2025. If you've seen this before and you know it works, then you can just skip straight forward to the tasting. Otherwise, the way this works is I have over 100 samples in my sample collection and my wife has picked 24 at random. She'll put one a day into a blue Glencairn glass and I'll nose it, I'll taste it, I'll tell you if I like it, and I'll have a stab at what I think it is. This is just for fun, so sometimes I get it right and sometimes I get it wrong. Should we find out what I'm drinking? On to the whiskey. If you'd like to play along with me and find out what's in my glass when I do, then just keep watching. Otherwise, take a look in the description now for a sneak peek. Let's start with the nose. Okay, so this is peated, I think. Yeah, it's definitely smoky. I'm also getting some toffee, which makes me think red wine or sherry. It's starting to remind me instantly of the Chegg Sinclair series. Although I don't think it is that, because I'm pretty certain I don't have any of that in my samples. Yeah, it's definitely sweet. There's definitely a touch of fruit. Yeah, and that smoke is, yeah, really, I'd say it's quite soft. There's also a sort of petrochemical vibe, like diesel. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so the smoke is much more prominent on the palate. It's quite ashy bonfire. It's quite wafty. I think this is also reasonably high ABV. It's definitely overwhelming the palate, the smoke and a little bit of heat. There's there's definitely lots of wood smoke with this one. There is some sweetness that's coming from like a sugary sort of, you know, natural sweetness. I wouldn't say it's very fruit forward at this stage. Let's have another sip. It's got a nice mouthfeel. It's really clinging to the palate, but there's two main flavours, just like the nose. That petrochemical vibe has sort of almost disappeared, but it's not completely gone. But for me, the primary flavours are the wood smoke and the sort of sweetness, but I think there is some fruit in there. I think it isn't just like a sugary sweetness. But for me, I think the smoke is really overwhelming the other flavours. But yeah, it's definitely pleasant. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, I think I'm starting to get a bit more fruit. I'm getting like red apples. I'm getting like raisins. There's also a slight sort of caramel sweetness as well. My guess would be that this is a Scotch whisky. I think it's also more likely going to be a I think it's going to be an Islay whiskey, but I think there's definitely a red wine or sherry maturation. I think I'd lean a little bit more towards red wine, but I think there's definitely some wine maturation in this to give it some of that sweetness. But ABV wise, I think it's at least 50% ABV, but I think I'm going to struggle picking a distillery, but I do think it's going to be Islay. Should we find out what's in my glass? Right, so it's Glasgow 1770 Peated No.1 2019. It's 46% ABV, and it came to me as part of my Whisky Pioneer subscription. This is an interesting one because I definitely owned a bottle of this. I think I picked it up during the first COVID lockdown, and I really enjoyed it. I think for a young distillery at the time with young spirit, I think this really came out very, very impressive and not young, not too sprightly, not too sharp. And although I couldn't pin this, having, I suppose, I've owned a couple of peated Glasgows, I think peat is very difficult, in my opinion, to pick out from a particular distillery. The whiskey itself is really nice. Obviously you can't get this anymore. This is a limited run that doesn't exist. But what they are doing with peat is really, really good. And I think that if you haven't yet tried a peated Glasgow release, then maybe this is your time to go and get one. It really is impressive. I think this was one of their early ones, and they've just gone from strength to strength, and their peated liquid is even better now than it was then. If you've tried this or another peated Glasgow, then let me know in the comments as always. And if not, hopefully you found this interesting, and hopefully you'll come back for day 10. Stauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.